A very good day to everyone, and we are very honored to be able to present our papers, medical cannabis cases as educable, base for industry development at the Cannabis Science and Social Sustainability International Conference 2021 held in Chiang Mai, Thailand. Myself is Dr. Tian, and my colleague is Dr. Kim Hon, and he's with the Global Medical Cannabis Academy. And so Humphrey allowed me to share our papers. This is full papers. Before that, let me capture the background of why we focus on cases and what it's going to lead to. That is the aim of our papers. The cannabis usage experience, as you can see from the slide, the cannabis usage experiences have both positive and negative aspects. And so if one is to progress towards a strong industry, a well-recognized industry, a well-established industry, we need to understand the strategic and operational reasons for cases explicitness and externalizations, meaning that we have to share the ideas and let the ideas be combined, be externalize it and combine and dialogue and then look at it carefully from the scientific perspective and see how we can extract the best practices and what we're going to do. And that is how gradually industry is developed. And we will demonstrate to you how is that so and what we can do about it. Close case monitoring, as I have just mentioned, especially nowadays with the assistance of technologies like IoT, cloud computing, and blockchains, which can fosters the trustworthiness of the systems, authenticities of the systems, and that is it's a perspective that can accelerate our industry for cannabis. And this kind of case monitoring system has been well acknowledged in Thailand by our, for example, by our health product vigilance centers, and they continues to monitor adverse drug reaction and to continue to ensure safety, efficacious, and quality drug access for each of us in Thailand, and the authors is particular, and many others authors, co-authors with Dr. Spatikons, and it's a relatively recent publication. And there are a lot of cases with positive outcomes and equivalently with negative outcome. I just want to demonstrate one examples in the literatures. And for this particular case by Hergert and his co-authors, without randomized control trials, meaning specific for a particular case, by treating an outpatient case who sustained a mild traumatic brain injury, which we know it as TBI, and stroke, and the result of using medical cannabis. We know that patients, when they're in stress, when they're in this kind of situation, they feel very stressful, and that can deteriorate the situation. And the use of this cannabis, medical cannabis, has shown reduce agitations and acquire brain industries and improve mood and anxiety, and that could therefore be combined with other treatments to help improve the medical recovery of the patients. And of course, we have some negative cases, such as these authors talk about some of the investigating the retina functions and demonstrating some of the dysfunctional mental health issues, but for regular usage. So the exact content of the context of what is that for recreationals or other things are not as unclear in this paper. So there are still a lot of potential further research we can do about, we can go through. And Last thing is very important. Because of the educable cases, meaning that how those cases provide basis for educations and therefore induce industry developments. We can learn from knowledge creating company text of Professors Narakas and Takuichi, and they have given us a knowledge management model that allowed and has proven why certain Japanese company has been very successful in innovation. So we can exploit that simple concept and into our big industries-wide concept that can allow our company and our industries to be successful in this cannabis innovation. Okay, we have to treat it as innovation because it is emerging industry, and innovation drive differentiation, and so that creates uniqueness in our positioning, and so this is very important. So therefore, in view of those background, our research objective is very targeted, goal targeted, very specifically targeted, so that we can get some preliminary exploratory ideas on what we can proceed from now on. So our objective is to explore, due to limitations of the publications in the cannabis relating to management and industries area, and of course there are a lot of medical issues you can find, but not in this management and industries development area. So we explore for the key functional roles of actively pursuing medical cannabis cases sharing, management for industry development purpose. Okay, this well, intuitively you already know about business case study, research case study, which cases are very important and part of the knowledge transformations and knowledge sharing and knowledge validations purpose. But the usage for industry development is relatively not discussed. So this address is it's very important and also contributing to the literature reviews. The exploratory approach is a result of the limitations of cannabis related industry development relevant propagation, and is accomplished creatively using literature review. So we will use those literature review thematic analysis carefully and synthesize them for our purpose. Empirical patient cases of the first orders of stress, and that is given in our extracts, and you can read it. And so these data collection methods is this literature, and we literature with limitations of the direct cannabis terms, publications that relate to industries development. So we have to rely on similar field terms such as crops, because cannabis is a crops, and it's also it's a crops for food and also for drug safeties. And so we will use those similar terms to help us look into how we can extract to accelerate the industry development through the cases, medical cases. Longitudinal patient cases from the first authors, of course, I've just mentioned, you can look into the extract, and the integrative diagnostics monitoring controls and benefit has been demonstrated from the our Thai perspective. So let's now we are clear with the background and we're clear with the methodology. Let's go into the result and discussion. And why presenting cases of medical cannabis to benefit industry development, the functional role, the literature review. From the literature reviews, I mean, it is an exhaustive study, but these are the themes that we as educators and researchers, and myself as and my the first authors are in these the first authors in cannabis, directing cannabis, myself in the food industry, managing food industries companies in the public listed company in Thailand for many years, and also as researchers, educators. So looking from the literature review, these are the refractive extracted points, themes, and so one of these why we doing those case presentations are and their functional roles are as key ones are as follow. Number one is the crop and drug safety culture. In sharing it creates the understanding and knowledge, and informs the attitudes and influences our behavior, and slowly in consensus builds the culture. This is what culture is. It's being built, and a culture industry culture is very important because this is the guiding post and the common consensus and direction for the industry. And also we can make use of this by stressing on the cases. It means that we are strictly very committed in this drug safety, and this and plus innovation, of course, because without innovation there will be no drugs, and with no drugs there will be no safety issues. So they are related, and our job focus is in identities of what we're doing. Must create an identity that is different from the rest of the industries in other nations, and the domains of differentiation that has to be contributed by this cases sharing function role. And of course, knowledge sharing and management has been clear with the NODACAS, and internalizations creates the cultures, externalizations and let people know combinations that creates the unique practices and things like the standardization, which will eventually lead to standardizations and continuous improvement of practices. And so this is very, when we have continuous improvements of practices in the industry, the safety issue becomes more and more resolved, and gets more robustly resolved, and becomes standard practices in our industries, and that's how we build reputation and identity. Influences consumer behaviors, of course, right? People feel trusting the product and services. They were forms positive attitudes and influences the way they consume, and accelerating the policy making at the national government level, because they are seeing all this positive situation and of course they have to establish with the policy so that the revenue incomes and benefiting the quality of life of the citizens can be there. I'll give you a couple of evidences from the literature's review, because this is what our data collections are, and it is our duty as educators and scientists to demonstrate to you. Consumers' knowledge and awareness. Many people has proven that consumers' knowledge, understandings and awareness of this, food hazards areas, and the more they understand it, and that we can deliver good things and prevention of that, would lead to consumer trust. And so this trust is built. A further search on the literature discovered also the safety is really, the drug safety, the food safeties are really the dominant driver for this consumer decision making, particularly in uncertain environment, especially when we are in the industry's environment where this is emerging and nothing gets understood systematically about cannabis. And so this safety gets very important case revelation of this case, of this safety issue and the side effects, and hopefully and plus all these positive cases are very important. Having trust established, of course, consumers and patients' attitude will be shaped. And to benefit the industry development, this is a well-recognized consumer behavior domain. Case sharing that yields all these, understandings and combinations of practices from Takuchi's and Nonaka, as we have just mentioned. Standardization starts to form. When standardizations of practices gets into the picture, things starts to happen. The industry starts to grow in a more systematic, accelerated, predictable manner. So, and it can lead to a well, effective handling of this cannabis in all perspective across the value chain, and of course then reduce the possible risk, illness risk from the patients and potential customer. So, and again, through this knowledge interaction, industry-wide food and drug safety cultures and orientations for sure can be promoted, as I have just explained it before, and therefore improve the industry's performance, because culture is signifies, manifests, relatively well-recognized a set of practices, that behavior, and of course will lead to performance. More empirical research can also be found to support our proposition that systematic educations of cases, cannabis cases, which is the purpose of this our sharing of this research, has been demonstrated in many areas and domains. I'll give you a couple of examples in the drug and food related domains. It influences industries-wide cultures I have just spread, facilitate industries-wide new practice acceptance. Okay, of course, this people agreeing on what's happening and standardize it, and so they agreed on it. And again, it's competitive advantage because we can deliver the standardized quality to the expectation, right? And modes the development of safety-oriented market orientations that influences that on in every actions of our value cannabis value chain, from the crops plantation all the way to extractions of the oils and medical usage and testings and critical trials and consultations and so on and so forth, productions and things like that. So all these are safety or market orientation. So is that they guide our thinking process and action. So most importantly, in industry development purpose, cases explicitness and standardizations are very important. And if you do it well, as I have just mentioned, if you integrate those well, it can lead to a significant differentiation advantage. And this is what the purpose of industry development is for. Can we create some differentiated positioning? We don't want to create something that is, without any position and cause leadership as not much of a meaning, and it's very difficult, and it's competing like hell. Can we do not have the good margin, and so it is what we have to do together to ensure these systematic advantages are being created. And through, therefore, in kind of directing to a conclusion, through synthesis of these aforementioned themes, we can provide. Sorry, there is we can provide. Okay, manage framework for cannabis industry development, and you can see from here is that we have a cannabis firm industries environment, which is demonstrated in this inner blocks and also embedded within the public policies and environment. So the public policies environment deals with legalizations, the framework issues of these legalities and public enforcement practices, but then within that industry and the framework, and actually they both through the cannabis cases as educable basis, which I've just demonstrated, which you can, it will enable this vision, cannabis, medical cannabis safety and differentiation vision that commonly shared, of course, is strongly reinforced within these firm leaded by these firm industries environment, then will slowly influences the public domain. And so that kind of vision, if we can make it clear, it will set priority for numerous key things that industries need in order to develop a performing industry. And one of them is the organizational and administrative practices, which you can see it deals with cannabis processing, consultation, procedure, training, communication styles of the doctors and of the practitioners and industrialists and so on and so forth. Technological practices are also equally very important, right? Because we're dealing with crops, and so all this zoning, equipment, hygienic design, maintenance, facility design, and use of IoT, Internet of Things, blockchain, and crop systems are also very important. And that can accelerate provide the transparency background and accelerate the patient acceptance and government support. So indirectly influences this external environment. And we also have the because things are doing by performed by not only the technological level, we also have human employee level participations in production. So employee level practices will also be influenced, and the priorities it has to be there, such as their attitudes and risk perception has to be very clear. The next one, of course, is the FDA, Food Drug Administration's agencies guided drugs and food quality safety management safety, such as HACCP, GMP, ISO 9001 quality management control system. You can see basically these are the things that help to develop the industry through their supportiveness. They are able to provide the support, right? And also intentions that they're induced by the employees' behavior and their responsible behavior, and the appropriateness and differentiation positioning as a result of our expertise and focus on this drugs and safety and quality system. And all this together, all this together will accelerate this differentiation. Okay, and this I forgot to put these arrow terms, and it will accelerate this accelerate the differentiation and positioning of this industry developments in Thailand. So these are the framework. And so in conclusion, now we're coming to real conclusion. So in conclusion, our research contribute to stressing and implementing the role of this food and drug safety system in organization, and then also at the industry level. And through presenting the different facets of this functional role of the cannabis cases, which is for explicitness and expertization, externalizations, as all of the terms from Takuchis and Nanakas, it will help establish this food safety system. It has been, you can see from many institutions of medical drug institution, and this has been the common practice. The first authors on patient experiences, the case descriptions you can find, and one of them in the extract, provide not only the first-hand longitudinal case, scientific driven, so that you can have rich understanding and profiles and descriptive and controls and monitoring states. And with the technologies, it will probably be more systematic records and clear system. And that is a scientific term, and that will give us a strong ability to explain things. And so these first author provide not only this kind of situation, but also reaffirm a need for case management and responsibility of cannabis, and as an example, as a sample, as a model. With cross doctors consultations monitoring as important and necessary educable base for industry development. So finally, it comes to the real end. If Thai industries on cannabis can fully exploit the cases, externalization, and improve the practices to its differentiation. Okay, also I can probably assume that you already see some differentiation through the integrated components of all these functional roles and this and the framework that I've just explained. So you kind of see the integration, a differentiation. Differentiation is a set of behavior, right? It's a set of behavior. It's not about the product. It's about the set of behaviors that integratively in synergy and in total alignment. That creates the real differentiation. Very powerful differentiation that people cannot easily copy. I mean, people can copy the product, but people cannot copy the set of behavior. That's what the differentiation is all about. And that is what we, both of us, want to demonstrate and stress upon it in these papers. And it's our contribution to its differentiation advantage can shape the competitive landscape of the industry. Okay, so these are the references. I think there are a huge list of references, so thank you very much, and we are honored to be able to present at this cannabis first cannabis conference, international conference in Chiang Mai, and we are proud to be a part of it, and we continue to do our duties and research and clinical laboratories by our first authors, and to provide some, be a part of this industry development in Thailand. So, Sawadee krap, thank you, and thank you very much.